Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is about helping improve your relationship with diet and exercise to achieve success in your fitness journey. In today's podcast episode, we have a special guest, Miss Crystal Deberry. Is that how you pronounce your name?
That's it.
Okay. Crystal is from Greensboro, North Carolina, and currently residing in the metro Atlanta area. Standing at 5 feet tall, she began her weight loss journey at 304 pounds. After changing her diet and exercise routine, she has lost a total of 139 pounds to date. Crystal has gone on to become the founder and CEO of Natural Wonder INC, a healing lifestyle brand that causes on nurturing the natural wonder within you. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that too much.
No problem.
Without further ado, Success Fitness family, please welcome Crystal. Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. So you're currently in the Atlanta area?
Yes.
Okay. How's the weather down there?
It is rainy today. It's been hot, but today it is soggy.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far are you from, what is that? Because I went down, I think it's Tignall. Have you heard of that city? Tignall, Georgia?
I have heard of it, and I believe I'm very far. I'm actually right out. The next light up on the main street that I'm off of is Atlanta address. So I'm actually literally right by
okay.
Atlanta.
I was down there probably, matter of fact, I was 18. So I was in Covington. Covington, Georgia. That's about about 40 minutes outside of
It's
Atlanta.
about 30, 40 minutes from me.
Yep. Went down there to see my dad when I was about 18. So saw my little brother when I was down there. It was cool. So I was in Atlanta just for literally just to land in the airport and then just drive about 35 minutes away. So tell me how you got started on your fitness journey. What prompted you to say, hey, I got to get this weight off? And go ahead and tell us about that.
Well, it's something that I had explored many times before I got to this journey. But the biggest thing is that my family history of disease is what caused me to get into this. I realized before the age of 40 that I had cared for my mother and an aunt who was a mother figure of mine who had had cancer. And my mother died in 2005. And I started looking at the pattern of disease in my family. And I was like, enough is enough. I felt like that God had shown me where my life was going to go if I did not change things and do things differently.
I got you. And condolences.
Thank you.
Being somebody who's, lost their mother. I lost my mother to breast cancer in 2008.
Yeah.
And you're just never the same. You're never
Very
the same.
true.
And you look back on how can I prevent this for myself? If that is something that you can do, and you do try to make conservative efforts to look at all aspects of life. You cherish life just a little bit differently.
Correct.
After something like that happens. Now, you mentioned your aunt. Is she still with us, and how were you taking care of her, and how did that affect you?
She's still with us, healthy, doing well. But that is kind of, I think, the spark that made me realize, okay, Crystal, it's time for you to switch things up, do something differently. Because I'm, from the South. And I grew up very much fried chicken and macaroni and cheese and all of that. And I think that I come to realize that the common denominator in everything was the food. And that's what got me to this point.
I got you. Now, what were some of your weak points as far as for food? Being a Southerner, and I know you also have some great food. I've been down there a couple times.
Yes.
What was the staple that you just knew that, hey, I'm gonna attack this every single time? This is my kryptonite. What was yours?
Pork. I am from the barbecue state. And so pork was my thing. I never thought that I would get to a point where I would stop eating pork. But that is the one thing that I loved. Chopped barbecue, ribs, you name it. Pork chops was my thing.
I got you. Now, do you do any grilling yourself, or using the smoker yourself at that time? Were you doing that, or you just
Yes.
okay, okay,
Yes,
okay,
I
good,
grew up very much in the kitchen. I grew up
okay,
very much on the grill, and so cooking was nothing that I wasn't that it was a skill I've always had. And so that's the thing is that I knew how to prepare it. I knew where to find it, and and so yes, pork was the thing that was hard that was the hardest for me.
I got you, I got you, I got you. Now, what were some of the toughest obstacles that you faced in your weight loss journey?
My biggest obstacle is eating behaviors. I've come to realize that I had some very unhealthy eating behaviors that would lead to like binging and eating at the wrong times or not eating enough. And then that would leave me hungry. And then that would cause me to binge. And that was the biggest thing for me. And even to the point to where I recently, in the beginning of the year, I had like a 3 month period where I just could not get my eating behaviors together. And even though I was still continuing to work out and I was still continuing to lose weight, I just knew that those unhealthy behaviors would put me back where I was. And so I put myself in Overeaters Anonymous. I've been in now for about 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and it's been life changing because I realized that I wasn't alone and that there are a lot of people's stories that I saw a lot of myself in their stories as they shared, and that has been a game changer for me when it comes to my eating behaviors.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Overeaters Anonymous, is that a Facebook group? Is that just a group, or is this actually? This is my first time ever hearing about it, so pardon me. This is
No
a
problem.
real thing. Can you explain that to me? Because this sounds interesting.
Yes.
Because I may need to join that
Yes.
too myself.
Yes, it
Mm.
is a real thing. It is a worldwide organization and they have meetings all over the world. You can go to any meeting at any time. They literally have them from midnight to the end of the day. And you can find them online. You can find them in your city. If you go to oa.org, you can find them all over. And I finally found my tribe here, right outside of the Atlanta area, and I go online.
Okay, okay, okay. That is very interesting.
Yeah, and
Now,
it's an organization that's been around for a very long time. It's actually
really,
was
okay,
it was developed by the same people that started Alcoholics Anonymous, and
really,
it follows
okay.
the same kind of program except for food being the focus.
Okay, 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 cool beans. Now when you, let's say, first dropped your first, I would say 10 pounds, what were the main things that you changed to get those first 10 pounds off? Kind of walk us through what that looked like for you during that time.
The first thing I changed was increasing my water. Well, let me go back. The first thing I did was is that because like I said, I had explored this before, even before getting to this point, I decided that I was starting with the mental health first. So I started with nurturing my spirit. I started with the mental health aspect of it, working on my emotions, and then that rolled into my eating. So then I started eating cleaner at the time, as well as increasing my water intake and also moving more are the first things I did to lose those first 10 pounds.
Okay, okay. So how much water were you taking in prior to that? And then once you like started, you're like, okay, I'm going to get this amount of water in. Did you have like a set amount, or what you just knew you just needed just more?
I knew I needed more, but my goal was always at least 64 ounces, at least the 8 cups of water a day. And then I wanted to work my way up to a gallon, in which water is another one of my struggles. But I knew that it was critical in me getting and me losing weight because as I did more and more research on things about weight loss, I found that most of us are chronically dehydrated, and that's a big problem that we have in this country. And so that was something that I wanted to focus on to help to lose weight as well.
And in your bio, you mentioned that you had switched to primarily vegetarian or vegan diet. Was that the thing that you did from day one, or was it a transitional phase? Because it takes some time to get wean yourself off of pork.
Right.
So tell me
Right.
what that process looked like for you.
So years prior, I had already kind of dibbled and dabbled in it. And then I had a friend of mine that was pescatarian and introduced me to that, eating only seafood as your primary meat, well, your primary animal protein source. And so about 4 years ago, I had become pescatarian. But as time went on, I realized that I was eating more vegan vegetarian than anything, that I was probably eating seafood maybe twice a week. And then as I got more serious into this journey, I was like, since I'm eating more vegan vegetarian anyway, why not just go ahead and make the plunge? And so I just decided, March of last year, I decided to go ahead and go full vegan. And it's been a ride. But I also think the mental shift was a big part of this for me, especially when it came to giving up those types of things, because I had seen what that type of consumption in my family, I'm not saying that happens with everyone, but
Right,
excess consumption of
right.
meat could do. And so it was like this switch that happened for me. And so it wasn't as hard of a transition for me. And I think for that reason, just because of the mental aspect of it.
Okay, cool, cool. What are some of your favorite vegan dishes to make?
So my favorite things is anything with mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Matter of fact, not too long earlier, I had mushroom lettuce wraps, because also it needs to be easy. So I literally just throw mushrooms and onions and season them up in the air fryer, little guacamole or avocado into some lettuce, wrap it up and eat it. I eat a lot of salads. I love salads. Always have loved salads though my entire life. So I eat a lot of salads, and I love those because you can get really really creative with salads and change up the flavor daily. So those are probably the two biggest things that I eat mostly are lettuce wraps and salads. And I know a lot of people's like, well, that's just lettuce, but the truth is that because I have such a broad um, sense of cooking and food and pairings of food, I tend to change it up every now and or most times and make it pretty interesting.
Right, like you said, salad you can get so creative, from the
Yes.
base of it, what type of leaf that you're going to do.
Yes.
There's more than just iceberg out there for
Mm-hmm.
everybody's listening,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get so creative. You can mix and match, and that's just starting at your base,
Right.
and then let alone, like you said, you add in some mushrooms, okay, do you want them raw? Do you want them a little grilled, or what type of mushrooms? You
Mm-hmm.
want portobellos, or you want, some regular kind of baby mushroom. So you can get very creative with that, like you said, especially since you know your way around the kitchen.
Right.
And yeah, you can just let your creativity flow, and then you got your
Yes.
dressings and stuff. So some are hit and miss. Sometimes it may take, at least me, almost longer to make a salad than it does just cooking a regular meal, because I'm like,
I
I want
have
to
been
add
there, done
this, I want to
that.
add that, I gotta dice the peppers up, I want to dice this
Mm-hmm.
up or whatever. But it's all fun,
Right.
especially now the summer's is here, the weather is warming up. You want to stay, like you say, hydrated. You want to stay
Right.
cool, versus like, hey, let me go get a sandwich, and then you're hot and sweaty for the rest of the day. So yeah, I appreciate that when you're talking about just being creative with it. And there's
Yeah.
no real, I guess, like, to box in. Everybody thinks that you have to be boxed into a certain thing you should have, or shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have. You just be creative as you can and stay within
Right.
reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep. So far as like on your fitness journey, did you
Mm-hmm.
have anybody help you? As far as you have any personal trainers? Did you have a nutritionist? And if so, how did they help you? And if not, then how did you go about persevering to get to your fitness goal?
Right. At first, I did not have anyone helping me. I started out doing rebounding. I have a exercise trampoline that I literally have next to my couch in front of my TV. And I started doing that 30 minutes a day. And then as time progressed, I would do that. And then I added one to three, well, one started with one and then increased to three different exercises to go along with that, as well as a lot of different videos on YouTube. YouTube is one of the greatest resources for finding exercise inspiration and things to do. And then after I got to the 100-pound mark, I have a cousin that is a personal trainer here in the Atlanta area, and I started training with him. And so I have been training with him since the beginning of March. And I train with him twice a week, and then also do my own workouts in between, though, when I'm not training with him.
Okay, that's
And
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
he's been a great help. He's been a wealth of knowledge, and it's amazing to me with even just 2 sessions a week how much my body has
Hmm.
changed in the short amount of time that I've been training with him.
Now, let me ask you this: is, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Um, when it comes to your own workouts, how do they compare to workouts with your trainer, far as intensity level?
Right. They are the same.
Okay.
So what I did is what I do is I tell people all the time is that even my own workouts are still training style workouts. So I take what he has taught me and I implement that into my workout. But what I also do is my workouts at home, I add more cardio to it. So I love to go walking. I think walking is one of the most underrated exercises there is, in my opinion. So I'll do like 10 minutes of walking, and then I do four different exercises, at least 45 seconds a piece. And then I do that in one round, and I do 3 rounds of that. And then after that, in the end, I normally end with a minute. Right now, I'm up to a minute. Plank, and then I also end with either a series of sprints or a run in the 10-minute lap that I did.
Oh, wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. So you have like a circuit type of hit
Yes.
training right
Yes.
there. So I'm listening to
Uh-huh.
you. I'm like, okay, he's like 45 seconds. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that's good. And 1 minute plank,
A
listen,
1 minute plank.
that has
Yes,
to
that I'm quite
that has
proud
to be
of.
about an hour that in your head how it feels. Sometimes 30
Yes,
seconds seems like an hour to me. So
it
for
is.
those who haven't
Although,
planked, listen, start off slow. Start off
yes,
slow, and then
yes,
you can work
yes,
yourself up to where Miss Crystal is at. All right. Don't think that you can
yes,
just off right off the back and just do it. All right. We're not saying it to be bragging. It's just take your time because
most
this will
definitely,
challenge you. This will challenge your will.
most
And
definitely,
the reason
yes.
why I asked you about that comparison, because I also have some clients that do 2 days a week,
Mhm.
right? As far as with me with the personal training. And they talk about when they work out by themselves, how just the intensity is just different. And it's more so what the personal trainer brings is not downing the client, but it's like when you got that extra push, you got somebody in your ear or somebody's just looking over you, not even so much yelling or whatever. I don't believe in all of that far as for me to, certain clients or whatever. It just really depends. But it's more of the motivation, more
Mhm.
of, hey, I got somebody right next to me and they're watching my form, or they're just setting up the circuit completely different than
Mhm.
what I would have. So that was a little bit of, insight
Right.
behind that. So with that being said, what is some of your favorite muscle groups to work out on?
My favorites are whatever I'm lacking in at that moment. Like for me, it's my arms. My arms are not as strong as like my legs, so I like to focus on my arms because I'm trying to get them stronger, and I can pull with more weight than I can push weight, and so that's my favorite thing to work on currently. And then also anything. like you were saying about how your clients feel like the motivation of having the personal trainer. For me, it's more like a learning session, right? So like if there's something that he's taught me that he's asked me to do that I'm not doing well, I implement that in my own workouts at home to get those muscles stronger, to get better at those exercises. And so I just work on whatever I'm not doing the best in at that moment is my favorite.
That is very smart, a very smart way to look at it, because, this week, you could be a little bit stronger in your arms. You're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, now let me work on my core, or now let me focus back on my legs or whatever. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you just kind of just be, what do you want to call that? More kind of like body intuitive. You kind of just paying
Mm-hmm.
more attention to your body at that time. Like, okay, what do I need? What am I slacking on? Uh, what haven't I done, in a while? So with that being said, what is your least favorite exercise?
My least favorite exercise,
Mm-hmm.
lunges. I hate
Yeah.
lunges.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I'm so short and that my legs are short, so I feel like I'm not really going anywhere.
I gotcha.
But I just, and I feel like I look so awkward when I do it, in which he tells
Mm-hmm.
me my form is perfect, but it just doesn't feel right. So
I got you. I got you. I
I do
got you.
not like lunges.
Now, are these forward lunges? Have you tried reverse lunges?
I have tried them forward. I have tried them reverse. I have
I
tried
got
them
you. I
moving.
got you. I got you.
I just do not like
I
lunges.
got you. So for those who have been following me for a while, know I have a love-hate relationship with leg day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lunges is one of those exercises that fall in the leg day. And front lunges, I don't really care for. But
Mm-hmm.
reverse lunges, they feel a little bit better on my knees. It's always the
Mm-hmm.
first set that sucks. But by the
Mm-hmm.
time my legs get warmed up, I'm cool. But so I totally agree with you
Yes.
on the air fires for legs. But it's one
Yes.
of those things to where it gets the heart pumping, when
Mm-hmm.
it comes far as the legs. And then once you're into it, you're into it. Now, how did you feel when you dropped that first 100 pounds? Because you mentioned that earlier,
Whew.
and that is that is such a major feat. Now, I want to back up even more as I'm asking this question, because I'm just processing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you drop that 50 pounds, and then
Mm-hmm.
when you drop the additional 50 to make 100, how were you feeling? Where was your mind at just during those two things? Because those are major feats. Those
Yeah.
are really, really major feats right there. Because when you lose over 100 pounds and you talk about it, you're like, okay, I lost 139, and it's like once you start calculating, and it's like, all right, that's 50 pounds almost three times. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But how did you feel? What was going through your head when you finally hit, like, okay, your first 50, and then
Mm-hmm.
what was your motivation to hit the additional 50?
The first 50 was kind of like a eureka moment, like, Crystal, dad, girl, you can do this. Like, you can really hit the goals that you set. So it was very motivating at the first 50. The second 50 was like, wow, like, Crystal, you did the doggone thing, girl. I felt really, really proud of myself. And I actually, it felt like that I really proved to myself what I could do, that I could really get over, not even just in weight loss, that I could get over a lot of different hurdles, because it's a goal. It's something I had always wanted to do, because I've been overweight most of my life. Right. So I wanted, it was like, you can really do this. It really was the proof that I could, lose the weight. And it encouraged me to go even further, and even to, to change my goals and to assess things and see exactly where I wanted to go from that moment. So for me, it was very encouraging. And it was that first 50 was a nudge. That second 50 was a, okay, girl, you got this.
Right, right. So then you got to that 100. So
Yes.
the the remaining weight that you lost, let's just go ahead and say 40 for even numbers, right? So how did it feel to, like, okay, down 100, now I'm going to go for, let's say, 40 more? How did that feel?
That was shocking.
Hmm.
That was shocking because that is it's a big number,
Right, right, right,
and it's a number that I think for a lot of us seems unattainable. So the next 40 was definitely a shock. Like, oh my gosh, I really am onto something. I really have found, it made me feel as if I had really found the secret as to how
right,
to get my body to lose weight and
right,
how to get my body to change. And it was just kind of proof in numbers.
right,
You know,
right, right, right.
yeah,
You had it right. There's
yeah,
nothing anybody else can tell you about, hey, you're losing a lot of weight right now.
right.
Are you okay or whatever? And it's like nobody's even asking me that question when I was 100 pounds heavier.
Woo,
So it's
yes,
like obviously I'm doing something that is right, and it's hard to not just come off so bullish, for lack of a better terms, when that happens, because it's like, well, obviously I found something that's working, and now, like you said, I found the secret sauce for me,
mm-hmm,
and it can be challenging when somebody else is, they're asking about, okay, what did you do? And you kind of got to fill them out to see if you're really serious about it. And
mm-hmm,
it's everybody's journey isn't like your journey is not everybody's journey, right?
correct.
um but you do want to help people. You do end up, try to convince yourselves like, okay, this person is serious, they do, want some help. So how was that trying to transition to help others, since you are CEO of, what's your company's name again?
Natural Wonder Inc.
Okay, Natural Wonder Inc. So obviously you have established yourself and to say, hey, you know what, I can help people, get through some of the tough times and some of the tough obstacles that I went through. So how was that transition to say, okay, I found my secret sauce, now I'm going to try to share this with others who want the secret recipe? So how was that transition?
Um, I decided that the best way for me to do that was to be the example. So I always tell people, what I know, what's worked for me, right? So, like I said, I've been down this road before because even before this journey, I had lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. And so I felt like I wasn't starting exactly from the bottom, and which is why I realized that I had left out the mental aspect of it. And so I always tell people you have to change your mindset in order for it to happen, in order for it to stick, you literally have to change your mind first, right? And so that's always the one thing that I want to tell people. But what I find most interesting is that whenever I tell people, I start with that and people ask me how I did it. I always say, same thing I said to you. I nurtured my spirit, worked on my mental health, worked on my emotions, clean eating, exercise. And people always go, well, what'd you eat? What exercise did you do? Nobody ever wants to hear the mental health part, right? So I have made it my mission to keep reiterating that over and over and over and over again. And I don't care how many times I have to repeat it, because I think that that's the biggest part that people miss and the part that people overlook the most when it comes to losing weight. So that's my biggest goal, is to get people to understand that that part is so important in order to get to my success and beyond.
Right, right, right. Just that mental aspect is
Mm,
getting yourself mentally ready and prepared, whether
yes.
it's the night before to get ready for the next day. And that is all part of mental preparation. It's, if they are asking about what foods did you eat, it's, do you have the knowledge to even just go to the store to cook for yourself, or have the means to look up who it is that can possibly meal prep for you? That it's all here, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's like the basis of it. So no, you're 100% right, 100% right. In addition to that, what are the major lessons, or just one lesson that you learned during your transformation phase that you could help inspire others with?
The biggest lesson that I learned is Self-love. Not that I've always been a confident person. Even at 304 pounds, I was a confident woman. But I have come to realize that all of this is really about real, true, deep, unconditional love for myself. I work out every day because I love myself. I eat the way I eat because I love myself. I work on my mental health because I love myself. And that is what I've had to come to realize, is that this is the highest level. Doing the things I do is the highest level of me loving myself. And that is probably the biggest thing that I've learned through all of this.
You heard it from her right here. Tell everybody where they can connect with you at, your website and social media and everything like that.
Yeah, so on Instagram, I have two. I have Natural Wonder Inc. And then I also have Natural Wonder _ food. And that is where I share a lot of my weight loss journey, a lot of what I eat and different things like that, as well as I'm also a certified sound healer and meditation practitioner, and which has also been part of this journey. And I share a lot of that as well. My website is www.naturalwonderinc.com. And there you can purchase merchandise that I sell, because I sell copper bracelets, copper and gemstone bracelets, as well as other spiritual tools, and where you can book for my sound baths. And yes, so that's where you can find me.
That is awesome, awesome, awesome,
Thank
awesome,
you.
awesome. You want to shout out your trainer too? I don't want to negate your trainer. Go ahead and shout him out. Go
Yeah,
ahead and shout him out.
so my trainer, his name is Ples Kelly, here in the Atlanta area. And is a phenomenal person. He knows a lot about fitness, and it like I said, it amazes me how he's helping me to transform my body.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the Success Fitness podcast. And I hope you listeners, have found inspiration in today's episode. This brings us to the end of another episode of the Success Fitness podcast. This show is sponsored by my new e-cookbook, What's a Meal Prep for Beginners, and you can get that at successfitnessstore.com. It includes 3 recipes for one high-protein meal under 600 calories, and you have a step-by-step written instructions and also a workout ebook too that's included. So don't forget to get that at successfitnessstore.com. Please join my Facebook group, Success Fitness Family. The link is in the description box as well. Thank you for listening to the Success Fitness podcast. And until the next episode, Success Fitness is the mindset. And remember, success is golden. And I want to thank Crystal Deberry again for appearing on the Success Fitness podcast. You have a great one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem.